If you're interested in learning Japanese grammar, one of the first things you should be getting into is particles. Now, particles are kind of like a glue that sticks sentences together. It shows us how the different words in the sentence interact. And if you're learning particles, probably the first particle you should be learning is the particle wa. It's one of the most basic and one of the most important particles in all of Japanese. Let's check that out now. So we're going to be looking at lesson 0.5 of my textbook. If you have access to my textbook, you're welcome to follow along, and a version of that will be available down below. So again, looking at the particle wa, it is the first particle to start with, but there is a little bit of a difficult part to it, in that the particle wa is actually written with the hiragana character ha. Now that is, of course, very confusing. The good news is this doesn't happen very often. In fact, it almost never happens in Japanese, but it does happen here right at the start, right at the very beginning with our first particle. Again, this is the character ha in katakana, but when we're using it as a particle, the pronunciation is now wa. And the thing that this particle does is it shows the subject of the sentence. That's not actually 100% true. It's just the easiest way of explaining it. And for the majority of situations, it's fine for you to think that wa marks the subject. Again, technically speaking, it marks the topic, but pretty much the same thing in most cases. So for example, if we wanted to say watashi wa kawaii, then the wa here is showing that the subject of our sentence is watashi. And of course, kawaii means cute. So we can pretty easily say watashi wa kawaii means I am cute. Now you might look at this and say, okay, wa then translates to am. Kind of and kind of not. The difference is that, again, wa is a particle where am is a verb in English. So that's one difference there. But also, what if we changed the subject and we had it kare wa kawaii? We wouldn't say he am cute. We would say he is cute. So it will translate to different things depending on the sentence, but it does always do the same thing of marking our subject. Just something to be careful for. The good news is that it is very easy to use. We can kind of throw whatever we want over here. If we want to say, I am cool, watashi wa kakkoi, or maybe I swim, watashi wa oyogu. It's very easy to replace this with all sorts of different kinds of words with the particle wa. I mentioned before that wa is a particle and not a verb. One important thing for that, on that note, is that particles do not conjugate. Verbs do conjugate, but particles do not. So this wa will always just be a wa and nothing else. There are some practice problems available here. Again, if you do have access to the textbook, now would be a good time to check those out and get to work trying out some translations. Good luck!